Yes, indeed. Rekha is joining us as it's time to talk about what is on Rekha's mind. It's time for Rekha's Voice on the program, as we are going to be chatting about something that in your article today, which is kind of cool.
Exactly. So I'm to set the stage for this, I'm going to take you back a couple of years. Do you remember when I brought Prince Manvendra in to be on the show?
There's a
the
picture
world's
of him.
first openly gay member of royalty. Jackie's
We all look
holding the
exactly
picture.
the same.
Remember him with his turban and his, you know, regal
flowing robes, big hitter to the llama.
Exactly. So you probably don't remember what he was here for, or do you? He was here
Vaguely.
to give the keynote address.
As you say, he was giving a speech, but I don't remember exactly
He was
where.
giving a speech at the Iowa Safe Schools Conference, right? Which is actually, no, I'm sorry. The Iowa Safe Schools is the organization that sponsors it, but the conference is the governor's annual conference on. What do you?
We need to dust.
A bit dusty.
Oh, I guess that hasn't been around cleaner for a while. Okay. Anyway, so every year there is this conference, which is privately funded by donors and foundations, and it's sponsored by this organization, which is dedicated to keeping LGBT and Q youth safe in schools and preventing bullying, and also, you know, just keeping them safe from suicide and homelessness and all of those other horrible things that we know happen to LGBT youth. So, so they bring in luminaries like this fellow, who I actually didn't know about, although I'm Indian, until I got a call from the Iowa Safe Schools Conference saying, would you moderate this panel with him? And I was on my way to India, and I went and actually visited him in his home state, stayed with him. Yeah, I mean, it was great, and got to know him. And he had been on
like
Oprah.
a palace?
There is a palace. His parents live in it, and he's estranged from his parents, but he still has ownership rights to it. But he lives on a farm, a beautiful farm, and he plants and grows sustainable crops, and he has peacocks and monkeys and a river running through it. It's really lovely, and he's planning to eventually turn it into a retirement center for gay and lesbian people, because he says, you know, typically in India, it's your family that takes care of you when you get old and infirm, and for gay people, so many of them have been disavowed by their families that he's creating this community. Anyway, so that's just by way of setting the stage to let you know that these are the kinds of people that this conference brings in. And so for several years, I've been moderating panels and introducing speakers. And last year, there was the former president or prime minister of Iceland was here. She's an openly gay woman with her partner, and they gave a session which I moderated. So I have really high regard for Nate Monson, who is the head of this Iowa Safe Schools organization that produces the conference, and this is the 11th year. It's going to be held next month. It's always held in spring, and this is going to be the 11th year of it. And I have spoken to counselors who have taken students there. It's schools, actually, school districts will send students from their gay straight alliances there, or anybody that wants to go, to spend a day listening to workshops, hearing from speakers like this man, just getting affirmation, being able to ask questions, getting, you know, specific scientifically correct information about being gay and all of that stuff. So this year, an Iowa House committee, the House Government Oversight Committee, has sort of decided to wage war with this conference, claiming that at last year's conference there was a session on safe sex that was led by actually a nationally renowned educator, PhD educator on safe sex. And they're claiming that, you know, a lot of sexually explicit things were said, and that it included talk about pornography and orgies and whatnot. So Nate is saying this absolutely did not happen, that those kinds of references were not made, but it was a very open session that was student-driven, where kids were allowed to ask questions that they don't have anywhere else to ask, including about sexuality practices and all of that of gay people. And so now, though, this House Oversight Panel is today set to release a report. It has devoted a year to looking into this and is going to release a report today, which is going to send over to DHS about this, based on one student or a couple of students who made recordings on their cell phones during this session. And what I think has been going on is, for the past year, they have been basically harassing Nate, members of this committee, the chair and especially the vice chair, whose name is Greg Hartzell. He's a Republican. And he has been claiming that Nate should disavow the panel and everything that was said in it. They want Nate to appear before them at the committee and answer questions. They're threatening to subpoena him if he doesn't. And they're claiming that this is all a bipartisan effort. And Nate has consistently gotten letters from like 25 different members of the House and from various individual members threatening him and saying they'll continue to, what I think amounts to a witch hunt of him and of the conference for political reasons. And meanwhile, the Democrats are saying, this is not bipartisan at all. There's nothing bipartisan about it. This has been entirely driven by the Republicans in the House for political reasons. So I spoke to the House Minority Leader yesterday who said, we completely disavow this. We have nothing to do with this. Now, the irony here, and I think it's really a sad irony, is what the House Minority Leader told me is that basically the committee's role is to oversee government functions, and if there's anything inappropriate or that needs investigating, to investigate it and to recommend changes. Okay. This is a completely independent private group. It has no jurisdiction over it. And what the committee's claim is that because some school districts transport their students, they pay for the school buses to transport them and pay their registration fees, therefore there's a public taxpayer's expenditure and they have oversight authority over it. But the fact is it's not state government money, and so there really is no oversight authority. And the other thing is that apparently this same committee has been asked to look into the Medicaid privatization, which is supposed to start now in April, the beginning of April, which is going to affect
now
a
you've
budget.
Got my attention.
Okay, a budget of $4 billion, and it's going to affect so many people's lives, the lives of indigent people who are dependent on public assistance for their health care. And there have been so many allegations in different states where this has happened about, about people falling through the cracks and services being cut and so on. But this committee, it's been brought before the committee, but the committee has refused to look into that. So instead, they're investigating this conference, about some whatever remarks that were made.
Now I'm mad.
Now you're mad?
Yeah.
Good. You're with me, Jason.
I'm with you now.
Okay, good. So, it's just, where are its priorities? It's such a blatant.
So is there a chance that this conference isn't going to happen this year?
No, it's going to happen because because really this committee and even the state legislature and the state government in general doesn't have any authority over it.
Could this be the last one, though?
No. They're going to continue
it's about
to
the
be
school
funded
buses
privately.
And the money that's being used for stuff like that.
Yeah, and they don't even have any authority over them. And in fact, the governor has said he refuses to get involved in this dispute because even though it's called the Governor's Conference on LGBTQ Youth, the governor has nothing to do with it. It's just the name. Yeah, and he says he's going to stay out of this debate because it's really a private event. So he's acknowledged it's a private event. So they're just trying to harass people for no reason. Exactly, because it's sensational. And I just find that so offensive.
Instead of focusing on things like
Medicaid privatization and how much it's going to cost in so many ways. And that should be the function of the committee. But instead, we can see it's just completely political in its orientation. So
Republicans in our legislature in the state, and I'm a conservative saying this, so far this hour have kept people who need medication from getting it and are wasting time with this silly thing instead of looking into Medicaid.
And it's early in the show, so you don't know what else might be coming up. But basically.
Write your legislators and let your voice be heard if you're not
They didn't write me back.
agreeing with what's going on over there. All right, if people can read more about what's going on.
They can read it in my column today on the editorial.
Des Moines Register.
Great job as always.
Thank you.
Rekha.
Good to see you back.
Thank you.